Good morning. Welcome to my thought for the day. I'm looking at John chapter 8. Not the first bit, which is the bit about the woman taken in adultery, but this long discourse that Jesus has with leaders of the Jewish people. And no matter what he said, they misunderstood him. Now there are verses in the scriptures that tell us that until we are spiritually minded, there are some things we can never understand. And if you don't understand what he's going on about in this chapter, you'll be with a large majority of people. Jesus is trying to convey to people who know their Old Testament, who know the stories of the Old Testament, and who can trace their ancestry generation by generation right back to Abraham. They are children of Abraham. And the Old Testament makes it clear that it's important to know your physical genealogy, to be descended from Abraham, to claim to be of the Jewish people, to be God's people. And Jesus is trying very hard to make them understand that being a physical descendant of Abraham does not guarantee salvation. As they believed as children of God, as descendants of Abraham, children of his promised people, that it didn't really matter what they did because they were safe and secure. And Jesus makes the point in this chapter, as Paul does in part of Romans, that just like there was a physical circumcision and there is a heart circumcision, there is a commitment to God that can be undergone without physical circumcision, that the physical evidence is not the important thing. The important thing is what's going on inside the heart. And so with being able to trace your ancestry right back to Abraham, if you're not a person of faith, being a direct descendant of Abraham is not actually going to do you any good. And Jesus is trying to tell them things. He tells them wonderful things, like verse 31. This is John 8:31. Jesus then said to the Jews who had believed in him, not to the Jews who didn't really believe, but they believed in him. He said, if you continue in my word, you are truly my disciples. They believed already. But Jesus said, you have to be in it for the long haul. You have to follow me. You have to follow me. You have to listen to my words and apply them. Take hold of what I say, and you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. That's a wonderful thing. You know, the truths that we learn from Jesus and from the Bible set us free. They set us free from the bondage of sin and death. But the response of these Jews who had believed in Jesus was, we are descendants of Abraham and have never been in bondage to anyone. How is it that you say you will be free? We have to be careful not to rely on anything else than on the finished work of Jesus. Because as soon as we do, we lose what we have in Jesus. Now, you may be a descendant of Christian parents or grandparents. We've always gone to church. We've always been good church. The names of my ancestors are on the walls of the church. They may be. But you know, the truth about God is that he doesn't have any grandchildren. He only has children. He doesn't have any grandchildren. Every person has to come in faith to Jesus. Every single one of us has to come in faith to Jesus. And Jesus went on when they said, how can you say to us, you will be free? We've never been in bondage to anyone. Well, they were in bondage to the Romans at the time, but they knew he was talking about spiritual freedom, about freedom of conscience and freedom of life. And Jesus answered them, truly, truly, I say to you, everyone who commits a sin is a slave to sin. Again, it's something Paul teaches in Romans. that whatever we live to serve, if we sin, we are a slave to sin. But if we're born again, born from above, born into the kingdom of Jesus, we are free from the bondage of the law. They didn't really understand him. They didn't understand him. He says, if the Son makes you free, you will be free indeed. I know you are descendants of Abraham, yet you seek to kill me, because my word finds no place in you. These are people who'd started off believing in Jesus, but Jesus started to teach them things that were very difficult to understand. And sometimes in our walk of faith, we come across verses and we don't understand them. And it puts a doubt into our mind as to whether the things we're believing are really true. The truth is, I think, that our finite minds cannot understand everything that Jesus taught. What he said and what he taught is mind-blowing. And these Jews found that it was completely mind-blowing. Here was this man who was probably physically younger than them. They were all teachers of the law. And he was saying that even they, as children of Abraham, were seeking to kill him. And therefore, they weren't being true children of Abraham. They were children of their real father, the devil. That's very harsh. They hated him for what he said to them. But he was honest. Outside of Jesus, there is no hope. Outside of Jesus. He made it very clear. He said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. He said, no one comes to the Father except through me. Many people believe that it doesn't matter what religion you follow. It doesn't matter which hero you follow. As long as you try to be good and nice to your neighbour, you'll be all right in the end. It all leads to God. That's not what Jesus taught. Jesus said, I am the way. No one comes to the Father but by me. That's John 14. And at the end of this discourse, when Jesus actually went perhaps too far, he said to them, Abraham rejoiced that he was to see my day. He saw it and was glad. Evidence of eternity. Abraham saw Jesus. Abraham's an awfully long time ago. Abraham is in Genesis. 1,500, nearly 2,000 years before Jesus. And Jesus said, Abraham rejoiced that he was to see my day. Then they said to him, verse 57, you are not yet 50 years old, and have you seen Abraham? Jesus said to them, truly, truly I say to you, before Abraham was, I am. Which is the name that God told Moses when Moses said to him, who shall I say sent me? And God said to him, say, I am sent you. And these Jews understood what Jesus was saying, that he was saying that he was God. That he was God. He was the great I am. They picked up stones to throw at him, but Jesus hid himself. They knew what he was saying. He was saying, I'm eternal. I'm God. I'm outside of time. Before Abraham was, I am. God, the continuous God, manifest in Jesus, in the flesh, in our world, to bring our world to himself. What a wonderful Saviour. It's no wonder nobody really understood him when he was walking the earth. We need to bless his name today, that the great I am took on flesh and came into the world to save you and me. I'm out of time. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.